Hello, everyone, and welcome to Space Between Ideas. Um, just a public service announcement. Something strange has happened to my connection to the internet. Um, Previously, in the first 19 days of this endeavor, I was just connecting to live. There was uh, people connecting and watching me present live, and there was this dynamic where I was talking to an audience. For some reason, yesterday and today, I have not been able to go live. I'm not sure why that is. So I've just opened the camera on my computer and I'm recording this, but it is not live. So I don't know. How does that change the dynamics? I guess we'll find out in the long run. I will continue to try to go live, but I don't know if that's going to be possible. So we'll continue like this. Now, before we get started today, if there was ever a time when I can just kind of rant, talk about whatever I want, explain my personal philosophies, today is the day. So, on the Synergies Checklist, State Synergies Checklist from the book Create Crucial Insight by Dr. Thomas Buchholz, you have four synergies. You have your clients, you have your peers, you have your providers, and you have your changes over time. Wait, no, there's five. Okay, so then there's other synergies. And in the past, I was kind of like, other synergies. It's the thing is about the checklists that Dr. Buchholz created. If you don't understand it, then you probably don't understand the significance of it. And then as you begin to understand it, then you begin to see the significance of it. So I imagine that people who are tuning into this program that cannot really understand what I'm talking about, they might just pass by and say, I don't see it. I don't like, what's the point? Like, I don't really get it. But those who have the patience to go through each video one at a time, the people who say, maybe there's something here, and they purchase a copy of Tom Buchholz's book. You know, the link, I have the link on this YouTube site. You can just go up to where would it be? So this video is going to flip. So then if I put my hand up, point this way. Yeah, so just go up there. You go into my homepage, and then you can click a link and buy a copy of Tom's book. And then you can read the chapter, look at the checklist beforehand, try to find where it talks about this concept, the theme that I'm talking about each day, and look at the examples. You know, there's always 3 examples for each checklist, and I never go through all of the examples. Mostly I've gone through one of the examples, the salesperson example, which I guess we could talk about today. But other synergies. So the 5th element is affect other synergies. Now this is a really wild concept that I just barely started to figure out, because yesterday I was like, I think I'll just like change this and just skip over it. And then somehow this burst of idea came into my mind. So first I just wanted to say, what did I want to say? I wanted to start the conversation with my own personal philosophy. So I'm by nature, I'm kind of a social scientist. I'm not really a teacher. So about 20 years ago, I was part of a teaching organization. And the guy who was leading the charge had a doctorate degree in education. And the only thing he ever said to me about education, he said, make sure you do a lot of work with general education. And I mean, the whole idea is like, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, hiring for general abilities compared to hiring for specific skills. So I've always been this general, I mean, like, I went to China, I learned Chinese law. Now I'm in Belarus. I've been to Russia. I can speak a basic Russian. I lived in Saudi Arabia. I started studying Arabic. I've been to Australia. I've been all over Europe. I've been all over Asia. Now the strange thing is I have five clients from Brazil, and now I'm starting to learn like the dynamic economy that exists in Brazil and this concept of BRICS. Okay, so we got Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, and now these emerging and developing countries. And like I many years ago, I had this concept called the what did I call it? Proximity theory. All right. So my proximity theory was that the things that we think about and our understanding of the world and the things that we care about and the things that are on our mind, they are directly connected to the distance between us and those things. And you could have examples like your health is directly connected to the distance between you and McDonald's hamburgers, and you and the exercise machine, and you and your understanding of health, and the way that you feel, your emotional condition, which is influenced by the distance between you and other people, the people that you care about, the people you don't care about, the concepts and ideas that influence your your understanding and your emotions. And so there's always this constant moving of things that are changing our perception and helping us to make better choices, hopefully, and influencing the what we decide to do in this world and the plans that we developed in order to achieve those things. So I just wanted to start out with that. So affecting other synergies. Now, so we talked about like customers, peers. Now, so what else is there? All right. So what is an indirect cooperation? Right. So people who don't usually connect, they connect by happenstance. People that there's like you're in a company and like just two people that are in completely different departments just happen to meet each other, and then there's this amazing result. Or like there's all these love stories where like people who don't really connect with each other, and then somehow just by happenstance they connect with each other and it creates this amazing love. Like imagine Tinder, right? So Tinder, before, how did we meet people? So synergies, when we talk about synergies, a long, long time ago, I talked about marriage a couple of days ago. And that, like in some, you have different tribes, you have different cultures, you have different people, you have different ways that families come together. You have different ways, like in China, it's like two families coming together. There's in India, like people don't even see each other before they get married. And then nowadays, it's like you just like swipe, swipe, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it, don't like it, don't. I like this one, don't. And then it's like what? So it's like how are these synergies affected? There's different ways that synergies are affected constantly. So the book example, we talked about the salesperson and we talked about HR, we talked about the heads of departments, we talked about all these different things. Now, the salesperson in an organization, he's kind of the guy that needs to know everybody. Like he needs to be able to talk with the finance department to understand the pricing of the products and like how money comes in and out of the company. He needs to talk to the people on the factory floor to understand like what is this product, how does it work, what other possibilities are there, how can we develop new products with other people, with other companies. Like the salesperson's really the guy. He's kind of like the CEO. Uh, he's like the hand of the CEO. The CEO is kind of the brain of the operation, right? And then like you have to have a hand to go and get everything done. But then the hand is what also informs the brain. Like remember, like I remember listening to one lady talking about the acquisition of language, and she said you can't really learn language unless you're spending some time writing down words, using your actual hand, and it inputs ideas into your brain, which is like interesting because when I was learning Chinese, I learned it in a very different way than the way I now learn Russian. Back then, we didn't have these, Google Translate or Yandex Translate or these different dictionary apps. We had to physically go through the dictionary and then write down the words. So it's like these synergies between things that aren't really in the top couple of lists, like our hand and our brain. What kind of synergy is that? The salesperson needing to know everybody. Now, the other thing about our world today, it's like I don't know where to put some of these synergies. Like, the openness of information and information sharing. Where does that go? What is that? Right? So, like, I can jump onto YouTube right now. In fact, today I was on watching a channel called realvision, and this is a really interesting channel where these guys have put together. I guess his name is Paul. He's brought together like the biggest brains in the macro universe and the finance and investing and all these different people, and they discuss issues about like what is happening in our economy. And how are we going to overcome these issues where we have technology coming and replacing people at an extremely fast rate? And so we're in this huge deflationary environment where we just don't need all these people anymore because technology has solved so many issues that people were causing, and we're not solving fast enough. So that's why the value of these tech companies is going up so quick, because they are solving so many problems. And so now all of a sudden I have access to these people. Like, there's a synergy here. I'm learning from them. I'm hearing from them. Today they were talking about wearable technology. And I was like, oh my goodness, for the first time, I understand there's a synergy between me and this technology. Like, I put on a watch that can like understand who I am. It can follow my heartbeat all the time. It can follow my circadian rhythms. It can follow my metabolism. It can follow everything that's going on with me. And then it could print out like a readout. It could say, well, actually, these are the issues that you need to solve. If you solve these things, you can add another 5 years to your life. Amazing. Artificial intelligence. Okay, so the thing is, like, we have all these different ways of making decisions, and like this my whole series, the whole thing that I'm trying to share with you is that Thomas Buchholz created these checklists in order to help us to improve our ability to make plans so we can achieve better results. And then you have artificial intelligence. So okay, what's going to happen is there's going to be some guys at Google. They're going to watch my videos and they're going to say, okay, Blaine, we've noticed that you're doing really well talking about all these different factors, and you're going deeper and deeper into the human mind, and it looks like you're connecting to more and more people. All right, so yeah, all right, look at my client list. So in the as I mentioned, when I started this video series, I had 3 clients. All right, so now I have 6 people who I talk about directly with their businesses, and we're working directly with these direct outcomes checklists. Then there's another lady. She doesn't really have a business, but we're just going like step by step through the checklists. So that's 7. I have 1, 2, 3, 3 more like first meetings, potential customers coming up this week. And okay, so there's people from Brazil, there's people from Russia, there's people from South Korea that are now living in California. There's a girl from China who's living in the US. There's another guy from Russia. And it's like, the thing is, like, I'm talking to people who are in all different economies. Mostly, it looks like most of them are coming from these developing economies. And as I talk with these people, my mind is opening up to how things work in their worlds. And there's people from all different types of industries. All right. But then all of a sudden, the artificial intelligence, once it gets enough data, then it's going to replace me and it's going to be able to do my job even better than me. And the thing is, artificial intelligence is going to be replacing people faster than we can imagine. So this wide net of clients, this wide amount of information, which is like making my brain just go amazingly in this amazing world of new understanding, of and new knowledge and new insight, and the ability to look at these checklists and see how they correspond to a whole different variety of endeavors. It's a powerful experience for me. It's a powerful experience for the people that I work with. But eventually it's going to be a powerful experience for the artificial intelligence that eats me alive. So, as you can imagine, this is like I can have the same amount of big data, diversified information that a computer can. And so, like, where are we going with this, with these other synergies? Also, this a concept of deflationary forces to real wages. I mean, it's like if you have a completely open world and a world where technology is king, then it means that like the countries which are developing and the real wages are so low, and it's like that money is going to eventually start pouring, and then you're going to get this balancing effect. So, there's just so many interesting things going on right now. The other concept I just wanted to share is the idea of a rainmaker. So sometimes you have these people called rainmakers, and they like what is the benefit or the negative? Sometimes it's certain people into a certain room. Like you want to have a meeting with somebody, but it just doesn't happen. You call somebody, you send an email, but there's no response. There's like you have a desire for something to mix, but it just doesn't mix. So of course there are like this idea of synergies. It doesn't mean that there's like true openness between people, but it's just if you can open yourself as much as you can and try to do your best to work with other people, then you can develop your understanding. You can leverage skills. You can see the potential for new opportunities. And you're going to increase your ability to see opportunities and to, to absorb luck into your life. And your career is going to grow. Rainmakers, if you become a rainmaker, if you're able to develop your abilities to connect to enough people, to provide enough value to the marketplace, eventually people will come just to because you are there, and you'll be able to affect a lot of synergies. Thank you for tuning in to Space Between Ideas. I'm Blaine Gates.